Be true to yourself. Good evening, everyone. Have you ever caught yourself saying yes when your heart was screaming no? Or molding yourself to fit a version of you that someone else expects? It's a heavy feeling, isn't it? Like wearing someone else's shoes and trying to run a marathon. Being true to yourself is one of the most courageous acts of living. It's not about being selfish or rebellious. It's about recognizing that your worth doesn't come from what others think of you, but from embracing who you are, flaws and all. To live authentically, we have to lean into discomfort, acknowledge our fears, and listen to the whispers of our soul. It's messy, it's vulnerable, but it's worth it. Being true to yourself isn't a destination, it's a lifelong practice. It means waking up each day and choosing to honor your heart, even when it's hard. Because the world doesn't need another version of someone else, it needs you. Embracing imperfection is a radical and liberating act in a world that constantly demands perfection. It requires us to let go of the unattainable standards we impose on ourselves and others. From an early age, we are conditioned to believe that being perfect is the key to acceptance, success, and happiness. We chase flawless performances, unblemished appearances, and error-free choices, hoping they will shield us from criticism or rejection. Yet this pursuit often leaves us exhausted, disconnected, and deeply unsatisfied. The truth is, perfection is an illusion. No matter how much we strive, we will always fall short because perfection is not human. We are designed to be messy, to stumble, to learn, and to grow. When we reject this truth, we reject ourselves. By clinging to perfection, we deny our humanity and miss out on the beauty and richness that imperfection brings to life. Think about the people you admire most. Is it their unerring flawlessness that draws you to them, or is it their authenticity, their willingness to show up as they are with their quirks, vulnerabilities, and all? Embracing imperfection starts with shifting our mindset. It's about recognizing that our worth is not tied to our achievements or external image, but to our inherent humanity. We are enough just as we are, even when we make mistakes or fall short. This doesn't mean we stop striving for growth or improvement. Instead, it means approaching life with a mindset of curiosity rather than judgment. When we make a mistake, we ask, what can I learn from this? Rather than beating ourselves up. When we encounter a challenge, we see it as an opportunity to grow rather than a threat to our self-worth. One of the most powerful ways to embrace imperfection is through vulnerability. Vulnerability is the courage to show up and be seen, even when we risk failure, rejection, or criticism. It's about letting go of the need to control how others perceive us and instead choosing to live authentically. This might mean admitting when we're struggling, asking for help, or sharing our true feelings. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's a profound act of strength that shows that we value connection and authenticity over the illusion of invulnerability. Another essential aspect of embracing imperfection is practicing self-compassion. We often extend kindness and understanding to others, but withhold it from ourselves. When we stumble, we are quick to judge and criticize. But self-compassion means treating ourselves with the same care and grace we would offer a friend. It's about acknowledging that we are all imperfect, that we all face struggles, and that we are all deserving of love and respect. Finally, embracing imperfection allows us to build deeper, more meaningful relationships. When we let go of the need to appear perfect, we create space for genuine connection. Others feel safer to be themselves around us, and together we can support and celebrate each other's growth. Life is not about perfection, it's about showing up, doing our best, and finding joy in the messy, beautiful journey of being human. Defining your values is one of the most empowering steps you can take toward living a life of authenticity and purpose. Values are the compass that guides your decisions, behaviors, and relationships. They represent what truly matters to you at your core, the principles that anchor you even when life feels chaotic or uncertain. While society, family, and peers often influence our choices, identifying and committing to our personal values ensures we live a life that feels aligned and meaningful. The first step to defining your values is reflection. This requires pausing and looking inward, which can feel uncomfortable in a world that rewards constant activity and distraction. Ask yourself, what do I stand for? What brings me a sense of fulfillment? When do I feel most at peace with myself? These are not questions to rush through. They demand honesty and a willingness to explore the beliefs and desires that shape who you are. It's important to distinguish between values that resonate with you deeply and those you've adopted out of obligation or external pressure. For example, you might have grown up in a household where ambition was highly prized, but deep down you value connection and kindness over competition. Identifying this discrepancy can be a powerful realization. Living by borrowed or imposed values creates tension and discontent, while living by your own values fosters a sense of integrity and harmony. Once you've identified your values, the challenge is to articulate them clearly and in a way that resonates with your day-to-day life. A value like creativity, for instance, might mean prioritizing time for artistic expression, exploring new ideas, or finding innovative solutions at work. Similarly, a value like justice might manifest in advocating for fairness in your community or treating others with respect and equality in your personal interactions. Defining your values doesn't stop at naming them, it involves understanding how they show up in your choices and actions. Defining your values also helps clarify your priorities. In a world of endless options and demands, it's easy to feel overwhelmed or scattered. Your values act as a filter, helping you determine what deserves your time and energy. For example, if you value family, you might choose to decline a work opportunity that would keep you away from loved ones for long periods. If you value growth, you might embrace a challenging situation instead of avoiding it. Your values empower you to say yes to what aligns with your true self and no to what doesn't. Living in alignment with your values isn't always easy. It requires courage and self-awareness, especially when your values conflict with external expectations or when the path of least resistance pulls you in another direction. However, staying true to your values builds self-respect and a deep sense of fulfillment. It reminds you that your worth isn't defined by others, but by your own integrity. Ultimately, defining your values allows you to create a life that feels authentic and intentional. When your actions reflect your principles, you experience a profound sense of purpose and connection. You're no longer living according to someone else's script, you're writing your own story, guided by what truly matters to you. Setting boundaries is a vital act of self-respect and self-care. It is not about shutting others out or being inflexible, rather, it is about creating healthy limits that protect your time, energy, and emotional well-being. Boundaries allow you to define what is acceptable in your relationships and interactions, ensuring that you maintain a sense of balance and integrity in your life. At its core, setting boundaries begins with understanding your own needs and values. This requires self-awareness and a willingness to reflect on what feels right and what feels draining or harmful. Often we overextend ourselves because we haven't taken the time to identify where our limits lie. Without boundaries, we may find ourselves saying yes to things that overwhelm us, agreeing to situations that compromise our principles, or tolerating behaviors that make us uncomfortable. Over time, this can lead to resentment, burnout, and a loss of self-worth. One common misconception about boundaries is that they are selfish. In reality, setting boundaries is one of the most generous things you can do for yourself and others. When you establish clear limits, you communicate your needs and expectations honestly, which reduces misunderstandings and conflict. Boundaries are not about controlling others, they are about taking responsibility for how you allow others to treat you and how you treat yourself. They foster mutual respect and create space for healthier, more authentic relationships. The process of setting boundaries often involves difficult conversations, but these are necessary for growth. For example, if a friend frequently calls late at night and interrupts your rest, setting a boundary might mean kindly but firmly explaining that you're unavailable after a certain hour. It can feel uncomfortable to assert your needs, especially if you fear rejection or conflict. However, respecting your own limits is more important than avoiding discomfort. Over time, practicing this skill builds confidence and reinforces your sense of self-worth. Boundaries are not one size fits all, they vary depending on the situation and relationships involved. A professional boundary might involve declining work-related emails after hours, while a personal boundary might mean limiting time spent with someone who tends to be critical or draining. The key is to tailor your boundaries to reflect what you need to feel supported and respected in each context. Enforcing boundaries is just as important as setting them. This requires consistency and a willingness to follow through on the limits you've established. If someone repeatedly disregards your boundary, it may be necessary to reevaluate the relationship or adjust how much access they have to you. Enforcing boundaries isn't about being punitive, it's about upholding your commitment to yourself and maintaining a sense of balance and peace. Finally, boundaries evolve as you grow. What you needed in the past may not serve you in the present, and it's okay to adjust your limits accordingly. Setting boundaries is not about building walls, but about creating a framework that allows you to thrive. It's an ongoing practice of listening to yourself, honoring your needs, and showing others how to respect you in return. Owning your story is one of the most powerful acts of self-acceptance you can undertake. It involves embracing every chapter of your life, the joyful moments, the challenges, the successes, and the failures with honesty and compassion. Too often, we distance ourselves from parts of our story that feel painful, embarrassing, or unworthy. We bury our mistakes, hide our struggles, and edit our narrative to fit into a version of ourselves we think others will approve of. But in doing so, we rob ourselves of the chance to live authentically and connect deeply with others. Every story has its messy parts. Perhaps you've faced heartbreak, loss, or rejection. Maybe you've made choices you regret or experienced moments where you felt less than enough. These moments can feel heavy, but they also shape who you are. They carry lessons, growth, and resilience. Owning your story means acknowledging these parts without judgment, recognizing that they don't define your worth but contribute to your journey. It's about saying, this happened and it's part of me, but it's not all of me. Owning your story requires vulnerability. It means letting go of the desire to curate a perfect image of yourself and being willing to show up as you truly are. This can feel scary because it opens the door to judgment and criticism. But it also creates the possibility of connection and freedom. When you own your story, you give others permission to do the same. Your authenticity becomes a beacon for others who might be struggling with similar experiences. It says you're not alone, and there's strength in being real. Shame often keeps us from owning our story. It whispers that our struggles or failures make us unworthy, encouraging us to hide, but shame only grows in secrecy. The act of owning your story, of speaking it aloud or sharing it with someone you trust, dismantles shame's power. It replaces isolation with connection and transforms fear into courage. When you claim your story, you take back control of your narrative, refusing to let shame dictate how you see yourself. Owning your story is not about staying stuck in the past. It's about integrating your experiences into a larger understanding of who you are. It's about finding meaning in the difficult moments and recognizing your strength in overcoming them. It allows you to move forward with clarity and purpose, knowing that your past has prepared you for what lies ahead. It's also important to remember that you are the author of your story. While you can't control everything that happens, you can choose how you respond to it and what meaning you assign to it. Owning your story is an act of reclaiming agency over your life. It means refusing to be defined by circumstances or others' perceptions and instead embracing your narrative with intention and grace. Ultimately, owning your story is an act of love for yourself and for the life you are building. It's about stepping fully into who you are, imperfections and all, and declaring that your story matters, because it does. Every single chapter, no matter how it reads, has brought you to this moment. And this moment is where your power lies. Practicing self-compassion is one of the most transformative gifts you can give yourself. It involves treating yourself with the same kindness, care, and understanding that you would offer a friend who is struggling. Yet for many of us, self-compassion feels unnatural. We are often our harshest critics, quick to judge ourselves for mistakes and shortcomings. We expect perfection from ourselves, believing that anything less is unacceptable. This tendency to be overly self-critical can lead to feelings of shame, anxiety, and burnout, making it harder to move forward and grow. Self-compassion is rooted in the understanding that being human means making mistakes and facing challenges. It's not about excusing poor behavior or avoiding responsibility. It's about recognizing that everyone, including you, deserves kindness and understanding, especially when things don't go as planned. When you practice self-compassion, you give yourself the freedom to be imperfect without berating yourself for it. You allow space for growth without the constant pressure of having to be flawless. One of the key aspects of self-compassion is acknowledging your struggles without judgment. Often, when we face difficulties, we tend to magnify them, believing that we're the only ones who feel this way or that our struggles make us weak. This isolates us, creating a sense of being fundamentally flawed. Self-compassion flips this mindset. It allows you to recognize that suffering and failure are part of the shared human experience. Everyone faces hardships, and just because you're struggling doesn't mean you are weak or inadequate. By recognizing your pain without judgment, you begin to cultivate a sense of connectedness to others, understanding that you are not alone in your challenges. Another important component of self-compassion is treating yourself with gentleness when you make mistakes. Many of us are conditioned to push through pain or difficulty with sheer willpower, often overlooking the need for self-care. When things go wrong, it's easy to fall into the trap of negative self-talk, calling yourself stupid or lazy or telling yourself that you should have done better. But these harsh thoughts only reinforce feelings of inadequacy and guilt. Instead, practicing self-compassion means offering yourself words of encouragement and comfort. You might say to yourself, "It's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. What can I learn from this? How can I do better next time?" This shift in perspective allows you to respond to your mistakes with kindness, not criticism, which opens the door to self-improvement without self-loathing. Self-compassion also involves caring for your physical and emotional needs. It means recognizing when you're tired, stressed, or overwhelmed and taking the necessary steps to recharge. This can mean different things for different people: taking a break when you're feeling burned out, getting enough rest, saying no to commitments that drain you, or simply giving yourself a moment to breathe and relax. In a world that constantly demands productivity, taking time for self-care can feel indulgent or even selfish. But self-compassion teaches us that taking care of ourselves is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Only when we nurture ourselves can we truly give to others and show up as our best selves. Finally, practicing self-compassion involves being patient with yourself. Growth and healing take time. It's easy to get frustrated when things aren't improving as quickly as we'd like, but self-compassion reminds us that change is a gradual process. There will be setbacks, there will be moments of doubt, but it's important to approach them with patience and understanding. You are on a journey, and there is no need to rush. By offering yourself the grace to learn, adapt, and evolve at your own pace, you free yourself from the pressure of perfection and allow for authentic growth. As we go through life, it's easy to forget that the most important relationship we'll ever have is the one we have with ourselves. Practicing self-compassion is not about indulging in complacency. It's about giving ourselves the kindness and understanding we need to truly grow, heal, and become our best selves. By offering ourselves grace in moments of failure, patience in moments of growth, and love in moments of struggle, we create a foundation of strength that allows us to move forward with confidence and courage. So let's choose to be kinder to ourselves. Let's practice self-compassion every day, in both the big and small moments, knowing that we are worthy of the same care we so freely offer to others. Because when we treat ourselves with compassion, we unlock the power to face life's challenges with resilience and grace, and ultimately live a life that feels whole, authentic, and deeply connected. If you found value in this video, make sure to subscribe to Motiversity Mentors for more motivational content that helps you grow, thrive, and reach your highest potential. Thank you for watching, and remember, you are worthy of all the kindness you show to others, including yourself. Thank you.